and welcome to our Facebook Live of the week. My name is Cheta, and I am the head of the Entree MD Merch Division. And I am so glad and so grateful that I have the opportunity to interview someone very special today. So, she's a physician and she's a founder of Boss Lady Dream Builders, which is a retreat business, which I've heard is doing absolutely amazing. She is in the EntreMD Business School, which is, one of my main reasons to love her. Just the fact that she's in the school by itself. And I've heard that she's had sold out retreats and high visibility and really a really huge boost in her confidence. And so we're gonna dive into her story today. So Dr. Sherita, how about you introduce yourself?
Hi. First, I want to say thank you, Chetza, for inviting me. I'm so happy to be
Hey,
here with you and so proud of you for everything that you're doing. So,
thank you.
congratulations. So, I am Dr. Sherita Gaskins. I am the founder and CEO of Boss Lady Dream Builders, where I help high achieving women develop the skills, mindsets, strategies, and plans that they need to build lives that they absolutely love.
That's so good. Okay. So I'm gonna start off with what was life like before you started the retreat business? Like just the physician, and then you started the retreat. So how was life like before that?
Yeah, life was hectic. Is what life was hectic before I had the thought to have the retreat business. Life was pretty hectic. I was a new mom and a new wife. My husband, similar to your mom, my husband pastors a church, so I was, really busy trying to wear all the hats and do all the things. And I found that I was exhausted. I felt like I wasn't doing a great job at any of it. And so I went on a vacation, and sitting on the beach, I realized, wait a minute, I'm hearing my own voice again for the first time in a really long time. And that's when it hit me that, we have to take time for ourselves, time away from our obligations and responsibilities so that we can reconnect with our deeper selves to know the things that our soul and our spirit want in that moment, that we structure our life in a particular way. But often we don't give ourselves permission to restructure it when things change. And so, through my own personal development journey, and then hearing about the different experiences of my colleagues, I decided to start the retreat business.
That is so good. That is absolutely amazing. And it's so true that, we do need to take time sometimes and just think because we can, like you said, put on a whole bunch of different type of hats, but then we end up overwhelming ourselves. So that's absolutely amazing. So what type of fears, if you don't mind me asking, did you have before you became an entrepreneur, before you started, the business?
Oh my goodness, Cheddar, let me get the list. And I still have many of them. I'm, as your mom would say, I'm doing it afraid.
Yes.
So so I still have many fears. I suppose the biggest was that that I didn't have what it takes to be able to pull off a business, to be able to speak on camera, to be able to lead people and all of those kinds of things.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I think I kind of started with that when I started going live too. It's like I don't know that I have, like the way my mom does lives versus me. I'm like I don't know that I really have what it takes. But that is so true. The doing it afraid, which is why it's really important to just take that step, even though you're scared. Just go ahead. It's I promise you, you're not gonna die. You'll be fine.
Yes.
So another question: what made you join the EntreMD Business School?
Well, I've been following Dr. Una for probably a little over a year or so before I joined the school. And I was listening to the podcast, and, if I saw her speak on someone else's platform, I was following there. I was reading the books. I'd even read the Meditate to Thrive. So I was following her. I think, one of the things that first attracted me to Dr. Una was the Christian physician mom group, because she was posting a lot of meditations there. So I think that's where I started to really get familiar with her. And then I saw her on a podcast, and I was just kind of lurking for quite a while. And Chad, it's interesting. I was telling myself this story because your mom is so polished and has so many things going for her. So I was telling myself, well, I can't afford Entree MD, so I'll just keep following from where I am. And but I never even checked to see how much EntreMD cost. Just given the quality of what I was seeing, I knew this was out of my budget. And so I went with another coach because I recognized that I did need coaching. I went with another coach. And then I attended a virtual event that EntreMD was having. And surprise, surprise, I found out that I could actually afford EntreMD. Maybe I should have asked the question in the first place. And so, so I joined then. But yeah, I was a follower for quite a while.
That's good. I feel like I've heard a lot of stories like that. Like I was following for a little bit and then afterwards I joined. Okay, so then since you've joined the school, what have been your top 3 wins?
Oh, wow. My top win is just getting the business off the ground because, what I didn't tell you is that I had this dream to host retreats, and I'd actually developed a retreat way back in 2017. I scheduled a retreat, I paid for a retreat, I planned the retreat and all of that, and it didn't sell. So I had to cancel it. And then I just kind of licked my wounds and went away and, told myself, okay, well, I guess you weren't made for this. And then fast forward to 2020 and 2021 when I started coaching and then started following and joining EntreMD. And now I host successful retreats. This coming October will be retreat number 5 in Grand Cayman.
Oh, that's
So
good.
that's probably the first one. The second one is my whole community, my network has been elevated significantly. One of the things that I noticed when I joined EntreMD, which was a side effect I wasn't anticipating, was that my entire timeline changed on social media. It just became this positive, uplifting place. And not that I have anything against funny reels and memes and those kinds of things, but my timeline just exploded with goodness. So that was number 2, and number 3 is just being having the confidence to be on camera. That's huge for me. I'm an introverted introvert, and I'm most comfortable off screen. So being on camera, doing a weekly live show, hanging out with all the my EntreMD classmates, it's been amazing.
That's really good. Okay, so then you mentioned the fear of, like not being able to do this or you weren't, good enough to do that. So then how did joining EBS help you to conquer that fear?
Well, in EBS, you see people at all different stages of business, and you can see yourself and hear your story in some of them. And I think that was the best thing for me was being able to see my story, hear my voice in other people, and to see where they are now, what they were able to accomplish. And to say, okay, if they were in this place and they felt like I felt and they're doing all of this, then maybe I can too. So it's really inspirational.
That's absolutely amazing. Okay, so now we're gonna take a break and we're gonna get into the fun question. My favorite question to ask anytime I interview a doc.
Okay.
So, what is your favorite EntreMD merch? Or like out of all the ones that we have, what has been your favorite one?
Okay, so I love the T-shirt that says, "There is no imagination police. Dream big." And as you can see, my business is called Boss Lady Dream Builders, and that just really resonates with me so much because I think for myself, and I know for a lot of other people, once you get to a certain stage of life, sometimes you stop dreaming. As kids, you have these big dreams and these fantasies, and you can be anything, and you can do anything, and then we get older and we put ourselves in a box. And so I love the reminder that there's no imagination police. Anytime I'm tempted to think too small, I remind myself there's no imagination police, that I can dream big. I can dream big just as easily as I can dream small.
That's so good. I think the first time I ever spoke about the Dream Big merch piece, I was telling the story of how when I was younger, I would pretend like I'm like, like a superhero flying across the country and doing all of that stuff. And then as I got older, I was like, oh, I don't really ever imagine stuff like that anymore, right? And so I think my mom was talking about it. And then so I started imagining, like small things like doing TED Talks and all of those things like that. And I was sitting down and I was like, a practical step for me would be doing the lives because if I wanted to get to the point where I'm doing TED Talks, I have to start somewhere. I have
Yes.
to start, let's say doing lives, which I wasn't excited to do at first, but I'm doing it now. So it's been absolutely amazing.
And you're doing a great job, Cheddar.
Thank you so much. Okay, so I you kind of did explain it, but if you don't mind going in a bit deeper, right? To someone who's never heard the phrase before, there's no imagination police to dream big. How would you explain it to them?
I would explain it as your permission slip to live a huge life. That I think that's how I would interpret that. That you can be, do, and have anything that you decide. That we're limited only by our own imaginations and by the things we tell ourselves we can't do. I have a my daughter's 12. I have a 12-year-old daughter, and it starts early. Because she loves to sing. She sang at Carnegie Hall last summer, so she's a good singer, but she wants to be a singer. And she says, well, I could never be a singer. I can't do that. And I was like, oh my goodness, at 12, you think you can't, there's something you can't do. So, I had to take that opportunity she says I coach her every day, and I do. I had to take that opportunity to let her know all of the different things that she could do to start. How you talked about starting with the lives. I told her you could even make a YouTube channel of just you singing. There's nothing to stop you.
Yeah, that's really good. I think I actually did just before I even got on the live saw like a YouTube video of a little girl singing. But I think personally it's about time you got her a shirt. You should definitely get her one so that she has that reminder with
You're
her at
right.
all the
You're
time.
right.
Yeah.
And we like getting matching things. So that means I'll have to get two.
So there you go. Okay, so then for you to get the merch, it's entremd.com/merch to get your merch today. And our merch of the week is there is no imagination police. There will not be a cop behind you telling you are not allowed to dream big. Whether you're a child, you're a teenager, you're an adult, you have that permission to dream big. There's nobody behind you telling you, oh, you're not allowed to dream this big. Listen, dream however big you want. The sky is the limit, the actual limit. Okay, so now what would you say to someone, right, who has this quote unquote big dream of joining the business school? Like, why do you think they should definitely follow that dream and go ahead and join it?
Yeah, I would say there's no place like Entre MD. I mean, honestly, there's no place that I've ever found, no place I've been so affirmed and felt so much like myself. When I come to the live events and my friends at home see the pictures, they're always amazed at. They just, I just come to life. The way I describe it is, I feel most like myself when I'm with that community, and so it's just really important that you honor those parts of yourself, and that you allow yourself to dream big, but also that you put yourself in spaces where you can be inspired and uplifted and connected, really well connected. I mean, that's one thing we hadn't talked about, but the Entre MD, through my Entre MD family, I mean, there's so many ridiculously famous people that I'm 1 degree away from, literally, you know. And so it's just you can't beat it. It's a valuable investment.
That's absolutely amazing because I heard you say something about a live event. And so, for those of you who don't know, June 7th, I believe, is the Entre MD Live, right? That's a live event. You get to see Dr. Una in person. So, to anyone who's, like I said, dreaming big, that, wants to go to the live, what would you say, like, about Dr. Una's live events? Like, what do you have to say
Oh
about
my
that?
gosh, like I said, they're second to none. The first one I attended absolutely changed my life. I mean, literally changed my life. And I often tell this story, Chetta, but I almost didn't go to that event because, I mentioned being an introverted introvert. I never came on camera. Dr. Beck Beckford always jokes that for the first year and a half, they didn't know what I looked like in EBS. Like, they would see this name, but they had no idea who I was. And so I was really excited when, your mom announced that she was having the event. And the night before, I started talking myself out of it. Like, wait a minute, I can't, what are you doing? You can't go. You don't even have a business yet. I mean, you have an idea, but you haven't launched anything. And these people are doing all these amazing things. And who are you to go there? And I really struggled to go, but it was just such the best thing that ever happened to me, just to be in the room with those people and to hear their stories, and like I said, to see myself and to see the advanced version of myself, to hear that they had those same doubts and fears and concerns, but to see where they were then was so inspiring to me. And so I would say definitely. And Dr. Una, she brings her A game everywhere she goes.
Every time.
Entre MD Live is such a bargain, honestly. If you can be in Atlanta, be there. Unfortunately, I have another commitment that weekend. But anytime I can be in the room with your mom, I'm trying to be there.
So does that mean we'll see you in October?
Absolutely.
Yes. All right.
I already
Okay.
have my ticket.
Early bird gets the worm. Okay. So, last but not least, where can people find out about your absolutely amazing, typically sold out retreats?
Yeah, so you can go to my website, bossladydreambuilders.com, to get information. And then I'm actually having a mini virtual retreat tomorrow. So if
Oh,
anybody's around tomorrow, it's going to be for 2 hours. Just go to the website. You can register completely free. It's just to give you a taste of a weekend from me. And really just, it's not sometimes when people do those kinds of things, they think, well, it's going to be a 2 hour sales pitch, but it's not. It's an opportunity to take a break and do a quick reset in the middle of the day, and you'd be surprised how much that can give you, even just that little bit. So imagine 4 days of it.
that sounds divine. I might have to, pop up one day by myself. Okay, so
I'd love to have you.
thank you. So, top reminder for today is that there is no imagination police, that you have that permission slip to dream just about as big as you would like to, that the sky is the limit, okay? That if you have anything that you want to dream of, go ahead and dream up about it. Just make sure that when you do start that dream, you write it down and you start on it. The way that my dream is to be doing TED Talks and to be talking in front of a lot of people, and my course of action has been going live, once every week and talking to people and making sure that, I'm present inside of the room. Make sure that you start from somewhere, all right? Do not allow that dream to fizzle away somewhere. So it has been absolutely amazing interviewing you. I absolutely love your story, and the Boss Lady Dream Builders. That was such a beautiful name, by the way. Can I ask how you came up with it?
Yeah, yeah. So, I mentioned that I struggled with my confidence. And when I think about a boss lady, I just see this uber confident woman who commands her space. She knows her worth and she doesn't settle for less. And so that's where the boss lady part comes from. And then dream builders, just that giving yourself permission to build your dream life. Because again, I mentioned that we settle for things. Everything is good enough. I mean, and I'm sure some people could look at me and say, well, you're a doctor, so why do you need anything else? What else could there possibly be? But, I believe that we're supposed to constantly be evolving and changing and growing into the next version of ourselves. And so that's what I want. I want people to give themselves permission to be the boss of their lives and to build their wildest dreams.
That is amazing. That is absolutely. Oof, I'm obsessed with the name now. Now that I have, the
The
backstory behind
context.
it. Yes, that is so good. Okay, so thank you so much for allowing me to interview you. This has been absolutely amazing. I'll make sure that your link so that people can find your retreats will be down inside of the chat. But I will see you next time.
Thank you so much. I'm going to get my